Hi, my name is Jeff Chiba Stearns, and I'm the director of the short animated film Yellow Sticky Notes. As many of you have seen Yellow Sticky Notes on YouTube, it kind of became a bit of a viral sensation. We're almost reaching 2 million views, and as you can imagine, I get a lot of sort of messages and comments from people asking me, how do I do that? So a lot of people want to know how they can make their own Yellow Sticky Note films, or just sort of little sticky note animations. And I thought it'd be a great idea to create a how-to video on how I actually make these sort of animations happen. And it's kind of a very simple technique, and I'm going to show it to you today. So first off, what's very important is that you have some kind of an underlit light source, so like kind of a sort of a tracing pad. Now I use an Artograph pad. Now you can pick these up. There's a little local art store in Vancouver where I'm from called Opus, and I picked this up from Opus, and they're great. As you can see, they're very flat. They don't take up much space. They can fit nicely into a little briefcase, and they offer a really consistent, nice, sort of even light. And it doesn't get hot. So this never gets hot, which is really important because when you're sitting here for hours staring into this, it's important that you're not getting a suntan. But yeah, these are great. They come in different sizes too. So there's actually smaller sizes which fit perfectly for little post-it notes. And but this one here I like because it's kind of oversized and large. Now, obviously, we can't create Yellow Sticky Note animation without post-it notes. So I use these 4x6 sort of yellow post-it notes, and it's that sort of standard yellow post-it note color. I think there's about 100 sheets in one of these packs. So open this up. There we go. So this means you'll get about 100 drawings, hopefully out of a little pad like this. And what's great is that you can sort of flip it right now and sort of see that, yeah, they're all a very uniform size. So when it comes to registering them, it actually works quite well. So the only other piece of material that you'll need to create this is some kind of a drawing tool. So I end up using these sort of black little fine-tipped marker pens. This one's kind of tricky to use because it bleeds through the paper, but I kind of like that sort of feel, that very hand-drawn feel of sort of getting that kind of, ickiness of things bleeding and bleeding through the paper and making it feel more hand-drawn and that look, right? So I think that's very important as well, that it doesn't look like it's done in a computer. This is actually done by hand using a pen. So now that we have our materials, let's start animating. Okay, so let's start with our registration post-it. So I'm just going to take one of the post-its from the top of the pad and place it down in the center of our light table, cutting off a little strip of the tape and just taping that down. So this post-it is not going to move. It's going to be our guide post-it. So all the other post-its are going to be placed over top of this so that we are lined up. Because there's no holes like traditional animation paper, we need to find some way to register the drawings so that when I go to shoot them, they're also going to stay registered. So take another piece of the post-it. This will be our drawing number 1, and I'm going to place that just over top of the other post-it so that it is directly over top and there's no other post-it sort of hanging out underneath. So now we know that we're registered, and I'm going to turn on the lights and create our first drawing. So I'm going to do a simple bouncing ball, and I'll just start with drawing number 1 of all. And obviously then drawing number 2. And for those of you who understand animation, you'll know that this bouncing ball is going to squash and stretch as it hits the ground. And so as you can see, I'm just putting each subsequent drawing over top of the last drawing, making sure we're lined up still. As you can see, we're about 3 drawings in, and you can still see all the layers underneath the post-its. Stretching out a bit with the ball. And we'll do one more where it's completely stretched out before it squashes. Adding a bit of acceleration there. And we will end up with the squash. There we go. And as we all know, the ball will not bounce as high the second time. So shoot back up a bit, stretching. And it's going to slow in to the top of the bounce. So as you can see, there we go. And maybe one more drawing to finish up. There we go. Okay, so I have created about 7 or 8 drawings there, and you can see actually I can still see through most of those layers. So this is how you kind of create the increments between your animation. And if you want to test it, the best thing to do is kind of hold them, pinch them together, and flip through them. So as you can sort of see there, that kind of works. It needs to be, there we go. Now the good thing about Post-it notes is that when I pull them off, they're going to stay stuck together. And you can kind of flip through them to catch your movement. Actually, that's backwards. We should do this way, if that works. When you have a larger stack, the flipping is much easier, obviously. But you can get the idea of sort of your movement and how things are kind of moving together. Again, if you want to do the old school animation flipping method, you can do the 1-2. So you can kind of curl your fingers in there and roll the pages to see how the movement's looking, like so, right? And you can kind of get a sense of that. So very similar to how you work with traditional animation is similar to how you work with Post-it notes. So once you're happy with this, if I was going to go shoot this, I would turn off the back of the light. I would set down probably a different colored piece of paper on here, probably black. And you would start with your first drawing. Now I didn't number them, so I know that this will, when I flip them over, this becomes my first drawing. Go down here and such, and go click, first drawing. I usually will pull that off, set down another drawing, over top of that last one, click, and you just basically go through your entire stack of animation with your camera. So you would probably position your camera a little bit higher above so that we're not at an angle like this camera. But click, you can see that once you have all these photos, you would just bring them into an editing software. Something like Final Cut or Premiere or even iMovie will handle stills. And basically you just play them back as a sequence, holding each frame for about 2 or 3, or holding each drawing for about 2 or 3 frames. So you'd have about 12 drawings per second if you're shooting on what we say are 2s, because there's 24 frames in a second of film. You would need 12 drawings if you double each drawing twice. Yes, animation is all about math. sorry to let you in on that little secret, but and there we go. We would just continue to shoot these. All right, so that's how you create your own little yellow sticky note animations. Hopefully it all made sense to you. But the best thing to do is just trial and error. Just kind of keep drawing, draw lots of things, test out the motion, see how it's going, and basically use what I call animation meditation to kind of create this stream of consciousness, sort of free-flowing animation where you're just doodling and drawing, and it'll all just make sense. So thanks for watching, and happy animating.